All right, so let's take a look at the view. The view is is going to implement this interface, right? That the controller is just expected to be able to use this interface so that it can pass along the values from the model, right? The lines, the new heading of the turtle, the new position. Oh, okay, there it is. Refresh. Yeah, that's the one that the controller is going to call refresh, and refresh I believe just calls repaint. It says, hey panel, hey turtle panel, this is a good time to repaint yourself, and then it'll actually re-render. It also exposes the get turtle command, which allows the control to get a hold of the input field, right? Whatever you type, the command that you typed. Here's the view. It is a Jframe, so it'll render as a window. It has as an instance, it has a turtle panel. That's where it's going to use it as a canvas, right, to render it. Also, it has it's also using the J panel. Notice that the J panel for the turtle, we're using it as a canvas. We're not actually putting any components in there, yes? But instead over here, we're using the J panel again, but not for rendering, not as a canvas, but we'll use it for to collect or to group together multiple other components. Right. In particular, we're gonna collect two buttons, one for executing the command, and the other for quitting. Right. So we're gonna put everything in there. We're gonna put probably also we're gonna put the text field. We're gonna put it in there as well. We're gonna put the buttons in there, the text field in there, maybe even the label in there. So we'll create a panel with all these input fields, with all these components, and we're also gonna get a chance to look at a new layout strategy. Up to this point, we've been looking at the flow layout that renders from left to right, from top to bottom. And I had hinted at you that there's a whole family of layout strategies. We'll look at the border layout today. Right. So as a constructor, we set the size of the window. We set the title at the top of the window, and if they click on the X of the window, by default we're just gonna close and exit and kill the program. And so within the constructor, we also initialize all the different components that we need. Right, we need the input field. We need two buttons, the command button. We're gonna notify the controller. Hey controller, here's a new command for you. And the quit button, we're not even gonna bother the controller. Right? It's not even worth notifying the controller. We're just going to handle it ourselves, right? This is like a mini controller, right? It's so low level. We're not even going to, bother anyone outside of our local scope. We're going to handle it ourselves, right? If they click on the quit button, we're just going to exit. Right? Otherwise, we would have to notify the controller, expose a function of exit, and then the controller then would call the view or I guess we could have the controller do the system.exit as well. But again, this is a level of you deciding how low or how high or abstract you want to become. So here's a layout. First, we're gonna create a panel that we're gonna put at the bottom of the screen, and where we're gonna put all the commands, all the various controllers, right? The label on the left, the input field, and then the two buttons right next to each other. We're still going to use the flow layout, right, to render all these commands from left to right, But then the whole panel itself, we're going to put it at the bottom of the screen, right? And then we're going to have two panels, right? One that holds all the commands at the bottom, and then at the top we're going to have the panel where we're going to draw the turtle. So in the bottom panel, we're putting everything in there, right? The input field, the two command buttons. And then that panel, that one button panel, we're going to put it at the bottom, right? And we're going to put the turtle panel at the top, right? We're going to be doing on the canvas drawing. So to do that, here's a new border layout that I mentioned earlier, right? The border layout allows you to break up the screen into 5 different regions. Right? Just like unlike a flow layout, which we have a one-dimensional direction, right, from left to right, and when we have no more space, it wraps, right? That would only allow us to render the content, in a single straight line, right? And then border layout is a little more involved. It breaks up the window into 4 regions: the north, the south, the east, the west, and the center, right? So that you can do sidebars, like menus at the top, footers at the bottom. It breaks it up into a very common, very common way of implementing user interfaces. So we set out the layout of the Jframe. We set it out to a border layout, and we instantiated the turtle panel. The turtle panel has all those methods for giving it the lines, for drawing the turtles and whatnot. And we put the turtle panel, we put it in the center. See that? So the center is like the big area of the screen, the center of the screen, presumably where the main content is. Whereas the button panel, we put it at the south of this Jframe, right? We're leaving the north untouched, right? So it's empty. We're leaving the left-hand side, the right-hand side. We're leaving empty. West and east are empty, and but the panel at the bottom is south. So the top, left, and right are left empty. Right? There's nothing there. They take up no space. So you end up with the turtle being rendered in the center, and the buttons at the bottom. We then expose the functions, the mutators, right? That the controller is going to call on us. So the controller is going to tell us, hey, here's the new model, here's the new data after the the commands updated the model. Here's the new model, giving it the turtle heading, position, and the new lines. And here's a refresh, right? That we're exposing to the controller. The controller is going to call the refresh. And the view is going to call on the Jframe, say, hey, repaint. This is a good time for re-rendering everything. It'll iterate over all the components, calling their repaint, right? And their repaint will call our function. What was it called? The paint component. The paint component, and pass the graphics context down to each component. Finally, we integrate with the controller. The controller exposes these functions so that the controller can come and ask for what the command is from the input field. Also it clears out also tells the command button. Tells the command button that I am your controller, right? I am handling all your events. Notice that we're not exposing the quit button. The quit button is being handled by the view itself. We're not bothering the controller, and the controller can then go fetch the input field from the view, clear it out, and then return the actual string in there. All right.